Alright guys, so it is now the end of July. It's July 23rd, and the garden has definitely been blowing up. It's been a while since I recorded the last video because I had some major shingling to do. Turns out that our house did not have flashing over that giant window over there, and so water was leaking behind it. So I had to take off all the shingles, put up flashing, put new trim on, and also re-shingle it again. At least it allowed us to give us a look they were kind of more interested in. But that means that I got to leave this garden for 2 whole weeks, and during that period I didn't weed, I barely watered because we had some really foggy and misty weather, and the whole thing took care of itself. I'm blown away by it, especially when we're talking about weeding. When you leave a garden for 2 weeks, no weeding, things usually get nasty. The lasagna thing really kept weeds down. So let's see what the garden looks like on July 23rd, 2020. These are Italian zucchini. We picked them because they have incredible flowers that are great for frying. You can stuff them with a little bit of ricotta. Here, decided to go for haricot vert green beans, which are a little bit more tender than the other ones we grew last year, and they've got really nice markings sometimes. But this is our first planting. Over there's our second planting, and we just planted our third planting right along there. The peas, wow. Okay, so first things first, next time we'll build a taller trellis. Look at what's happened here. Most of these peas could have gone an extra several feet. I mean, yeah, keep going. So those are snap peas right here, and sugar snap, and we have pod peas here. Over here we have our lettuces and Swiss chard, and this is a really cool lettuce that we decided to go with. It's pelleted Salanova red butterhead, and every one of the leaves on that lettuce is baby size, so you pick them off and it's like having a bunch of baby lettuce greens in your salads or whatever. And here's our carrots. These are 2 different plantings of carrots. So the Napoli carrots are actually coming in pretty soon, I'd say. Get in there. You can see that we've got some coming out. Here's the magnificent rhubarb as usual. Thing has just gotten huge. Our onions are way earlier this year than last year. Fortunately, we planted them a little bit earlier, so you can see they're falling over, which is a good thing actually. We need those tops to get brown before we want to pull them out of the ground, and that way they'll cure for the whole winter. This year we decided to do eggplant, definitely different than in the past. Really in Maine it's tough to grow eggplant because the growing season can be short, and these guys are okay, but I have no idea whether we're going to actually get anything. We'll see. There's some dill. This is our fall harvest of carrots that we recently planted. So those should be coming up in the next few weeks, and we'll store those over the winter. Over here, the corn is looking really good. Last year we had some issues with pollination. You're really supposed to plant a bunch of corn together so that they can be close enough that these little tassels will send off pollen and fertilize the other corns, and that way you'll get ears. Otherwise, last year we kind of got a mix of partial ears that weren't quite the full size. Some were even coming right out of the sides of the corn. It was almost like teeth coming out of the corn. It was really creepy. The cool thing about this year is that we decided to do the 3 Sisters style of planting, and this Native American or original Americans style of farming, which is just genius. The 3 Sisters are corn, beans, and squash, and when you grow them together they all become companion plantings. So that means that they really work together symbiotically to create a better growing environment for each one of the plants. In this case, the beans are planted around the base of the corn, so get our bean plant down there and the vine going right up. It's like Jack and the Beanstalk, and guess what guys, we're the giant. And right in the middle what we have is the squash. And this squash we planted, it's the last thing we planted, and that will continue to grow and fill in this middle space. We've got another one down there. That both helps control weeds, but also it's an area that neither the corn or the beans want to grow in. Same deal over here. Some beets, some kale. Beets are looking a little yellow, probably need to put some more manure on them. Here's a recent planting of fall basil. These are our peppers. Our neighbors next door were nice enough to give us some Italian-style frying peppers, and so that's what those three on the right are. And then here are Ace bell peppers. Again, that's a tough thing to grow in Maine. We're really hoping that we'll get a pepper or two, but no promises. Here's some more eggplant, looking pretty good. Look at that. That is an heirloom Brandywine tomato plant. This one was a gift from a friend down east, Shannon. She gave us a bunch of different tomatoes she was growing that she picked out from her own she picked out her own seeds from her prior harvests. So it's a true heirloom tomato. It's from her household. And this guy has just been going great, or gal. And these are our Brandywines that we planted from seed. They're definitely several weeks behind that one. We've been pruning them a lot this year, and this is a good example. This way there's no leaves at the bottom, and they've only got a couple stems and branches coming out of the top, and that will really focus on developing fruit in time to get ripe before winter comes. And then we have another round of early girl tomatoes here. Again, lots of pruning. Here we have a plum tomato. It's a red pearl. These are some sun gold cherry tomatoes. And this is a volunteer cherry tomato from last year. Just popped up from our plantings last year. All right, so let's check out the expanded part of the garden. This half of the garden is entirely different because it didn't exist last year. So we did cucumbers on a trellis. We did some jalapeno peppers and matchbox peppers, super hot guys right here. These are gherkins, so they're gonna be cute little cucumbers that we will then pickle for the winter, if everything goes right. Another round of zucchini. These ones are more for the fruit rather than the flowers. Green machine, and look at the incredible natural silver coloring on this one. It's a Dunja zucchini, and it's just a beautiful plant. More cucumbers back here. This is the asparagus bed, and again we use companion planting to really use all the space in our garden. And so we planted the asparagus, as I mentioned, and then we decided to plant Paisano paste tomatoes for making tomato sauces right down the middle. And I really can't be happier about what's happening. I'm not sure which chemical component or whatnot is in tomatoes that makes asparagus happy, but when we planted it in here, we got a whole another round of asparagus spears popping out of the ground. So take a look. Got a brand new guy popping up there, and there's a few popping up here as well. And so we're just getting another growth start from asparagus in its first year, so that will really help it get established, hopefully, for future years. And of course, throw some basil in there, why not? That allows us to just maximize some more space. Here, I wasn't even sure if we were going to plant this side of our garden, well, this section in particular, because it was all just a very busy spring, but we had a bunch of good stuff, so we decided to do it. These are 4 or 5 different types of pumpkins. What am I talking about? There's 8 different types of pumpkins right there. Some of them were gifts, some of them we planted on our own, some are for eating, some are for carving, and I'm just really excited about this guy. As you can see, look at how long that vine is. This is a giant polar bear white pumpkin that I feel very confident about. It has just been exploding this year. So we'll pick one of these fruits as our favorite and cut the rest off so it can get, I don't know, maybe a 50-pound pumpkin. We will see. We will see. And here's our cabbage for the year. These are all going to be turned into sauerkraut for the winter. Here's our strawberry bed. I am not going to say that I've really gotten everything I wanted out of this. The strawberry plants seem to not truly love the soil, and the soil hasn't broken down all the way yet this year. Plus they get attacked, as you can see right here, got attacked by this fruit fly that's been invasive to the United States from Japan for about 8 years, or maybe longer, but it entered Maine in 2012, and we had to use some organic spray with BT in it to kind of control that, but it did a doozy on our strawberries this year. We've got several. Here again is an example of how different garden beds produce different sized plants. These are tomatoes and basil, and the basil here is just yellow. Here it looks like it's getting some kind of attack from a bacteria in the leaves. And these tomato plants are supposed to be low bush-like tomatoes, but even for that, this is pretty small. So I'm hoping that since this is the first year of this lasagna garden bed, we'll be able to let all those things marinate, get to know each other, and we'll have some really nice organic soil next year. We still have the greenhouse up. I need to take that down soon to protect the plastic. The plastic is very sensitive to sun, and sun is really what causes the most damage, it turns out. And so we'll take it down soon. But yeah, it's a nice place to hang out in the evenings after work. Sometimes you're checking in on your plants. Sometimes you're sitting as the rain comes down. And that's the update so far for this year. We will see how everything turns out in the long run. We got several more good weeks of growing season here, so we'll see how the tomatoes develop. We have 39 tomato plants planted, so that will be a lot of tomatoes. We got our cannon supplies ready. We are ready to roll.
On the next episode of The Ravenous Farmer.
The summertime bounty continues despite a severe windstorm, but then insects show up and start causing serious damage. We struggle to save our cucumbers, corn, and other key crops from the ultimate destruction.